Hello, lovely Water Trio listeners, and welcome back. I'm here with Cassandra and Kelly, and we're ready for the astrology of the fortnight starting 16th of March through the 29th. So exciting week ahead. There's a few changes happening. And yeah, who's kicking off first? I think it's you, Cass, isn't it?
I think it is me too. I think being like the appropriate word because we're back in Mercury and Pisces territory as we start the week. So we've had our little 12-day reprieve with Mercury going back into Aquarius as a part of the retrograde state or the direct station, and then the continuation in that last section of Aquarius. And now we've got Mercury back into Pisces. And so it's going to be there until about the 12th of April. So we're going back over old territory now. So we're back into the Pisces waters, but with perhaps a lot more clarity around our feelings that we were really processing through the retrograde. And even if it wasn't feelings orientated, it may be, clarifying or cleaning up any logistical problems or any of those kind of things as well. So Mercury coming back to the very start of Pisces now, it really is a chance to do over the retrograde stuff. And so it may still be kind of that lingering, when you have a cold and you're better, but there's just those lingering symptoms. So it might be a little bit like that, just that little thing to fix up, or that little niggle that's not quite done with, or that thing I forgot about, I have to go back and do that. So I feel that that's probably going to be a little bit of what flavors the week ahead. Just when we thought it was like we're safe out of Pisces land, we're going back into there for just a little while. So I guess this is going to kind of bring things back to what started in early February that might need some cleanup around, because that was when Mercury first entered Pisces the first time. So have you girls got any insights or ideas around, what could pop up at the start of this week with Mercury back in Pisces?
Well, dare I say, we might start to get some answers, or some missing information that has not been disclosed starts to be revealed. It has felt, the whole Mercury retro in Pisces going back to early February, there's just been so much confusion and uncertainty, globally and, collectively, in addition to maybe personally in your life. I know for me personally, I'm like, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? What are my travel plans going to look like? And I've had to just keep saying, just wait and see, there's more information to come. And that's what this period, Mercury will still be in its shadow zone, if you like, until about March 30th. So for the next couple of weeks, it does feel like, oh, I was waiting for that piece of information, now I can make this decision. Or this situation has clarified, now I know what's going on over here. So it is a real sense of there's still more to come, but it is starting to come down the pipeline. How about you, Leash?
Yeah. April Elliott Kent put the whole Mercury retrograde in Pisces so beautifully when she said, it's like doing long division when you've had a few cocktails, and that's totally what it's felt like. And it's really, but I felt like that time in Aquarius dried us out enough and gave us enough clarity. So now we're heading forward. It's like, I don't know, you've woken up, you've had a few too many cocktails, you've popped your Baroccas, and now you kind of got to scroll through your text messages and see, piece the night back together again, call your friends, check in on everybody, make the apologies you might need to make, and then keep going forward.
Are you describing my early 20s or what?
I think all of our early 20s, and not just us. But
you
there
did
just
what
was
with
that.
Who? Where?
Thank God we didn't have social media back then.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But it just has been extra hazy. And as you said, Kel, there is so much collectively as well as personally, and it is the need for patience, I feel, of just the pieces will slowly start to get together. It's like even the jigsaw puzzle where you've got the frame done, almost all the pieces, but you still can't get the bigger picture. And that's like slowly the fog's drifting away. So that comes into view. So yeah. Bring on Mercury in Aries, I say, really. But we've got to wait a little while for that.
Yeah, so it is a bit like the extended post-retrograde recovery period in a way. Like we sort of had a little bit of maybe like a false recovery with the Aquarius piece, but now it's like, okay, we're really going back to what this was all about. So, cast your mind to, I guess, the start of early February, what was set off then, what parts of your life became a little bit confusing or elusive or unsure, and that will be territory that will be ripe throughout, the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. So you're up
So did you girls...
Sorry.
That's okay, you go.
What were you going to say, Cass?
I was just going to say, like, did anybody have any real classic Mercury retrograde things going on this time?
My husband's car.
Oh yes, of course.
I mean, I don't know if I have some magic fairy dust. I applied for a new passport and I physically took my passport application into the passport office on the day that Mercury stationed retrograde, knowing full well that all kinds of cock-ups could happen. But I was like, there was a time pressure where I needed to get it in because it was going to take so long and I needed it back. I was like, I just have to do it. I'm not going to post it in. I'm going to physically take it. I'll do everything I can. And it was ready in 10 days and there was no mistakes. I was fully expecting there to be a typo or my birth date would be wrong, but it was fine. So touch wood, I was lucky. My husband's driving home from our holiday in Spain. We traveled separately because he had a longer time period and I had a shorter time period. And he gets partway home and his car breaks down somewhere in outside Paris, in the middle of France, like in the middle of nowhere. And that was a few weeks ago. His car we still don't have back. It's going through the very slow European process of the roadside assistance. Well, now we've thought we were going to fix it in France, but now we're going to bring it back to Belgium and then we'll fix it there. So weeks later, he still doesn't have a car. And he does get hit sometimes, unfortunately, quite badly by Mercury retro. So, a vehicle, a driving thing, and then he was delayed getting home. He missed a day of work. So he's had a bit of a cliche snafu go of it. Totally. What about you gals? Have you had any bloopers?
Well, with my husband.
Yeah.
Sorry,
your husband too. What happened with him?
Oh, no, it was a good thing because Mercury rules his second house, but this is happening in his 8th. Yeah. So we went in, he dropped his phone in the swimming pool.
Oh, dear.
When he was fixing my parents, putting a railing on for my dad to be able to get in the pool. So he tried to dry it out, but it was just really slow. So we had to go to Telstra, which is the the telecommunications shop here, and get a new phone. And I just said to him, look, we just have to be ready for all the dramas, all the delays. He walked out having saved $50 a month with a much better phone.
That's fantastic.
Because he renewed his contract. And so he was doing the Mercury retrograde thing. And so he's got a brand new, much bigger phone, which he's actually not that happy about, but he'll get over it. And but saving $50 a month on a phone bill, that's pretty well, and like with way more data. And
Yeah.
So that's a way it can positively turn out. What about you, Cass?
Oh, yeah. Like when Mercury first went into Pisces, my stomach decided to kind of play up a little bit on me. Of course. And and I was like, I've eaten something that hasn't agreed with me. And throughout January, it was a very unusually social time for me. I was eating out more, takeaways and the like. And it was super, super hot here. And I was like, maybe it's just like the heat and making me feel a little bit queasy, what have you. Then I was, putting it down to a whole bunch of other things. And it just never really got better. And then it was the day of the station. I wake up one morning, went to the bathroom, and I'm like, okay, then maybe I've got a gastro-bug. And then by day 3, I was like, okay, if this is a bug, usually it's a 24-hour thing, 36, 48 at worst, Then it's like, maybe I need to go see my doctor. So I went and saw my doctor. And then the next day, which was the Friday, I went and, delivered the sample to pathology to get tested. And it was the worst day of the illness. I felt like I was getting a temperature, and I was just really starting to feel a little bit concerned for myself, when you get to that point, like, oh shit, I think I'm really sick. And I just Googled like with my phone, like, hey, where's the nearest company that, takes these type of pathology samples? I was like, fantastic. It's basically up the hill from here. That being said, it took all my energy just to drive like nowhere up the hill. And then I get there, we don't take this pathology sample from these companies, And I'm stood there, didn't know whether I was going to burst into tears or faint. And I was like, and then this other lady that worked there could see me. And then she was, we can take this for you, but I'll just have to let the courier know that this sample is not from this clinic. And then I'm like, but Mercury is retrograde. Am I prepared to risk that? Will my doctor ever get the results? I don't know, but I didn't care. Please, thank you. Take my sample. Yeah. And, I just have to go. It's either like I go home and sleep and try and rest, or I'm checking myself into the ER. And then it was Monday. I ring my doctor. Did you get the results? Like, I was really nervous about it, and they did, but she didn't work that day. So I had to wait another day to get the appointment with her. And I didn't realize it as it was happening. But when I got my diagnosis, then I stopped by for the high strength antibiotics. And then I stopped by the health food shop to get all the probiotics and things. And then I get home and take my first dose of medicine. It was on the Kazemi. And then within a couple of hours of taking those first doses of medicine, I could actually start to feel I was turning around. And so it was a really literal thing. And so that was really wonderful. And then by the time Mercury got to Aquarius, I actually felt like myself again. But I'm just like, I don't want to preempt fate, but I'm like, I hope I don't Mercury coming back through this territory again. I just, hope it's just going to be a smooth sailing from here and not some kind of lingering thing or, hey, whatever. It was just a Giardia infection or Giardia. But, yeah, don't wish that upon anybody. So not fun.
No.
But anyway.
No. Yeah. So we've all had a little Mercury retro.
Yeah, we had some really
madness.
literal things. So you've had the typical logistics, and I had a bug.
Yeah.
Oh, and I launched my new website. All in during that. I did have a technical, real logistical thing. So, yeah, that was, just to kind of make it a real Mercury retrograde. Let's give you some IT things to deal with as well. So my former site crashed and the new one's up.
Wow, that looks awesome.
So there we go.
That's very exciting. Yeah. So exciting. So, it's like getting a work facelift.
So you're
me as the Mercury ruler, like the Gemini ascendant. I definitely had the real dose of Mercury
hit your body
this time. Yeah, totes. Yeah. Okay, Kel.
So you're up next with Saturn into Aquarius, I think, Kel.
Yeah, this 2-week period in March is quite busy because there's a lot of planets changing signs, but the most significant one that's changing signs, of course, is Saturn moving into Aquarius, which will happen Saturday, March 21st if you're in the US or Canada, and it'll be Sunday, March 22nd if you're in Australia. And this is really significant. Saturn's one of the major timekeepers or the chronocrators, the markers of time in astrology. So to have Saturn change signs does indicate a shift at a collective level, as well as a significant shift in priorities and focus at a personal level. So to break that down a little bit, Saturn is moving into Aquarius just for a few months. So from March 21st to about July 1st, we're getting sort of the preview or the first piece of the Saturn in Aquarius cycle. Then Saturn will retrograde back into Capricorn for the second half of the year. And on December 18, Saturn will re-enter Aquarius, where it will then stay for about 2 years and 3 or 4 months. So it's important to understand that, so that when you're thinking about what's going to happen in the next few months, it's a preparation or a setup cycle for what's going to be a big focus in 2021 and 2022. So it's important to understand that. And Saturn going into Aquarius, he's literally just dipping his toes in. He's like going 1 degree in and then he's going to reverse out. So it's very much like stepping into a room in your house or your apartment and looking around and thinking, right, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. I've got to clear out that closet or wardrobe. I've got to get new curtains. Oh my God, I'd meant to deal with that problem ages ago. So it's like opening the door on something and seeing what needs to be done, but realizing you want to make sure you get a good sense of it, but you're not necessarily going to do it all now. So it's like a wake-up call to a different part of your chart. Think about where Aquarius is in your birth chart, and it's sort of calling your attention forward into that part of your chart. Collectively, Saturn coming out of Capricorn, in theory, should lift a lot of this really intense, fear-based kind of protective preservation, close the borders type of thing that's going on. There is going to be a little bit of a tricky interaction with Saturn in a couple of weeks, which we'll probably be talking about the Mars-Saturn conjunction in next week's episode. So I don't want to say it's all magically better, but it is a huge shift in the collective psyche, if you like, the way we're coming out of that very sort of fear-based Capricorn. You know, Capricorn's very focused on preservation and protection. So it often wants to keep doing what's been done before, or to kind of hold on to old ways of doing things. And we're seeing, because Saturn hasn't been in Capricorn by itself, we're really seeing how that may not be the best approach. And Saturn coming into Aquarius is actually starting to bring more of that forward momentum about how could we do things better? How could we do universal healthcare better? How could we do social equality better? You know, how can we work in a more collaborative way to provide benefits to more of us as a group rather than just a select few? So there is some real undercurrent shift, and I don't know if you'll notice a huge change this weekend immediately, but it's important to know that the energy almost like resets itself as Saturn moves into Aquarius. But this is a biggie, and I know we'll be talking about it a lot over the next few months. I was really curious to hear, Cass and Leash, your thoughts on this planet-changing signs and how you're sort of framing it for yourself and for your clients as well.
One thing I'm really looking forward to this, it's like all the heavyweights are being broken up. Saturn, this is the first one of the Saturn-Pluto South Node that we've had going on for the last 18 months. This is the first one kind of leaving. I just think of a group of, kind of mean boys in the corner that have been taunting and creating hassles, and they're being split apart and put into different classrooms. So this is the first one for that to happen with. And there will be some relief in that sense. Having a look back in history with Saturn and Aquarius, I think we're kind of seeing it now. Saturn in Aquarius, Saturn's restriction in Aquarius is the big picture, the future community. And I'm seeing that there is restrictions around how people connect together in person. And we're seeing that happen already globally. And I know, if you look back, for example, in the 1930s when Saturn was in Aquarius, that was happening a lot in Europe, in Russia, in Germany, in Italy. There were restrictions and laws, and even in the UK, around how people gathered, around what they were able to do. And so I feel like we're seeing this now, but the potential that's there is that new structures will be formed instead. So, I saw Girl Boss, who are doing a series of big rallies. They have actually decided to do it all online and open it up for free for everybody, and they're refunding everybody who had paid to go to the ones in the US. So there are these other options that are creating a more even playing field, like you were talking about, Kel. And it's like, how can we do humanity better? How can we be more compassionate? How can we be more caring towards each other? How can we connect in different ways and really ground it and create new structures for that? So yeah, that's my take on it for the minute, without going into all the details. What about you, Cass? Have you got thoughts? I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I love your ideas around that. I've been thinking about this a lot lately for some things I've got going on. But one thing that kind of really comes to mind is, we might be showing our age, and I apologize if you're a younger listener and you're kind of like, oh God, whatever. But remember that episode in Sex and the City where the girls ask Carrie, does Mr. Big colour outside the lines?
Oh, yes.
So
I've got the scene in my head. There's like a balcony setting, and there's some kind of curtain.
A wine.
Yes.
And anyway, so my little bit of a catchphrase for Saturn Aquarius, at least on the personal standpoint. And then when we look at the global standpoint, there is, as you already mentioned, all the things about, the global pressure and closing off borders. So Saturn in Aquarius really does invite us to break the rules in some way and maybe go out on a limb or go out sort of maybe as an individual, but for the collective, and, color outside your own lines in some way, shape or form. Obviously that will be dependent on the house that holds Aquarius for you. But there will be this sense that, somewhere in your life where Capricorn's has maybe been the limitation, there's been the structure or the pressure. And now it's like, okay, that pressure valve gets a little bit released. And it's like, okay, well, now I have a very intimate understanding of all the rules. Now, how can I break them or push the envelope in some way so I can do that kind of Aquarius type of, it's I wouldn't go so far as expansion, but at least I'm going to go beyond Saturn's rings rather than, be contained in them. And I do, as much as I had, the Meghan Markle situation, she's, what might look like a palace to some people may have been a fortress for her. And so, for some people, the Saturn in Capricorn is so protective, but for some other people that is almost like suffocating or so like unbearably limiting. So this next few months really is an opportunity to really kind of sense and feel and become aware of where are those rules no longer working for me, and where do I need to maybe push some barriers, or where do I need to show a little bit of bravery or a little bit of courage and go beyond the borders or go beyond those lines or those rings and color outside your lines,
It's
so that's your nutshell take.
I love it, Cass. I mean, because what you're sort of saying, I guess, is that it's redefining our relationship with boundaries, and that there are kind of lines that are drawn literally and figuratively everywhere in our lives. And it's Saturn moving into Aquarius is like being on the other side of the line. And I think I've heard someone else say this in another conversation somewhere, that it's sort of the difference between being on the inside of something and looking out versus being on the outside of something and looking in.
Totally.
And because, in Saturn is the ruling planet of both Capricorn and Aquarius, so there is this common theme about the rules and the boundaries and the regulation and the guidelines and where do things stop and where do things start. But the perspective about that defining line changes, I guess. And that's what's going to be really interesting to see how that shifting awareness of the boundary or the line filters down, as you said, Leash, into changes collectively and socially. I don't think we see the changes right away in the next few months for Saturn in Aquarius, but I think that's what becomes part of the social movement and the collective movement in 2021 and 2022. And, thank goodness for technology, because being, socially isolated or restricted is going to be different this time around. And just to give some context, the last time Saturn was in Aquarius was in the early 90s. So from February 1991 until May of 1993, and then again from July of 93 until January of 94. So that was kind of in the post. There's a lot of rearranging of borders and rules and regulations around the world at that time. We had Uranus and Neptune were in Capricorn, so there's some biggies in Capricorn, and Saturn was there, and then Saturn popped into Aquarius. So there is a little bit of an echo of that early 90s period. So a little bit more of a collective theme, but Saturn being a sort of a bigger planet, that's part of what's being reshaped. So that's a biggie. And we'll have more on the personal side, I think, next episode with the Mars-Saturn conjunction. Yeah. So I think we're over to you now, Cass, about...
Me again.
Yeah, I know. Wow. I was like... Leisha's got, we are saving the best.
I chose the end one.
Well, you chose the best one. The one astrological positive in this 2-week period. So we're saving the best for last with Leisha. But Cass is going to kick us. So this is my cat Merlin, who's just has to show herself. And Cass, new moon in Aries from you.
Yeah, it's my favorite new moon of the year. I'm not going to lie. This is the first lunation of the Astrological New Year. So the whole Sun in Aries ingress and that period to the new moon should be just like a really big New Year's Eve kind of celebration. But, what this really does is kickstart all those, this is the first lunation in the first sign. This is like that spark within us. That's that igniting, like, when you turn the key in the engine and things happen, a spark goes off.
Yep.
This is the spark, that will eventually burst into a flame. And I often look at this period of time as, okay, we're at the, towards the end of the first quarter, at least of the calendar year. And, what have you done? What have you not done? It's a really great time to really reorientate your, I think of the idea of Aries as that desire and that will and that push to do and to be and to have. And this new moon can really help, spark that energy. So I'm really looking forward to this. This is like my favorite lunation of the year, to create a vision board or to create a manifestation of all of your goals and desires and be totally shameless and, ask for what you want. This is a really great time to do that. Mars is still in Capricorn at the time of the lunation. So this is, Mars is in a good condition to help you. It's one thing to have all these goals, ideas, and desires. We've all got them, but how much work are we doing to kind of earn them?
Yeah.
And so with Mars on side and Mars, supporting and even adding a little bit of tension from the whole sign square aspect can really help, if you're feeling uncomfortable or if you're feeling that kind of tension or that friction between what you want and what you're doing to get that thing. This lunation is a really beautiful spark to help perhaps reinvigorate some passion or some energy and some enthusiasm into the work that you're doing, or, hey, let's get to work on those goals and desires that you've got. So I love the new moon in Aries. As I said, it is my favorite of the year. And it's a very beautiful energy for new beginnings. So we've got, Saturn's now in Aquarius, another symbol of something new starting. So it's a very new, fresh energy coming through as we're still maybe tidying up some of those Mercury returning to Pisces issues as well. But we can face them with a bit more vigor or a little bit more, okay, I know what I want about that thing now, whereas before I was just figuring it out. So yeah, I'm just a little bit excited about that.
Love it.
How about you, How about you? I should ask you first, Alicia. This is like, the Aries new moon. This is, your territory.
Yeah, look.
Yes.
I love
That's why I love you, Alicia, because it's my favourite.
I love that this Aries new moon is happening so soon after the equinox, so soon after the sun moves in. It's just... And as you say, we've just had Saturn change signs. It's like this opportunity for the first time actually in a while that Aries new moon isn't in a square to that Saturn in Capricorn. And there's a chance to really have that spark like you were talking about. Like I always think of that glyph of Aries, yes, it's the ram's horns, but it's also the seedling pushing up from the earth, the two little leaves. And I think this is why I love that it's so close, that it really captures that equinox energy. And yes, I know here in Australia it's the autumn equinox, but there still is that flush of freshness, of newness that comes through. And I think that's what we can, it's like an encapsulation of energy that we can inject into our lives and take it forward. It can be a little bit of rocket fuel for whatever plans that you've got that you want to do. And, I always talk about Aries as the Tigger energy. This is like, put a Tigger injection into your plans, and it's an awesome one to be manifesting under, as you said, Cass, and doing your vision boards and putting some real drive and focus, that steam train effect that Mars in Capricorn seems to have of just being able to push through. It's a really positive placement for the ruling planet to be in. So there is a real chance to kind of not just have the spark that, may or may catch. This is like the spark that then it starts a steam train engine in a way that can actually really drive you forwards and into the future. So I guess in many ways it will as well, because it's at that 4-degree mark. It will fall on a sextile to that Saturn in Aquarius. It's just past a sextile with that. So it will really bring that energy in. So I just think the future visioning, the big picture possibilities that are available with this new moon are very similar to the ones that happened with that new moon in Aquarius. And Saturn's now coming in and really anchoring that point too. So yeah, lots of positive opportunities with this, and it's really exciting. I love the moon in Aries too, as much as I love the moon in Libra that's opposite it, but that balances us out and cools me down. But yeah, it's just that impulsiveness and the pioneering energy. Aries always reminds me of the pioneers, like the Australian explorers and the American pioneers that came across into the West. It just really has that energy to it of like break new ground, try something new. So yeah, what about you, Cal?
Oh, look, it is. I think it's a high energy new moon. The ruler of the new moon being that Mars in Capricorn, which is very close to Pluto around the time of the new moon. It feels very clarifying, and there may be some decisions that are made. You know, you can be a little bit more decisive or a little bit more, I will do that and I won't do that. And I think that's going to help people make a combination of choices about things they might be ready to stop doing or they've outgrown, to like cut away some of that dead wood, versus, as you said, Cass, like that vim and vigor of, right, let's power forward over here now that we've cleared a bit of some of that clutter. And it, just thinking about, I think, Cass, you had made that point, you know, this new moon is happening shortly after Saturn changes signs. It feels like a bit of not like a whole new world, but there's certainly a totally different tone in the astrological energies. So the fire and the air combination is a little bit more forward looking, a little bit more like up and atom, rather than kind of doom and gloom or sitting in our feelings kind of things. This is more, you know, what is the image or the inspiration? Fire is so much about what can I see, or what do I, you know, that picture, you know, fire is very visually oriented. So it's that sort of clarifying that image in your mind's eye and then powering after it. So yeah, just like both of you, I'm excited for a little bit of like oomph. So I think, that's going to be really lovely to kick things off for people.
Yeah, it's like we're coming out of the Pisces flood and into a bit more energy, a bit more action. Thank God.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what does that leave us to?
So into even more fun and more energy to be able to connect with. But this is back to the yang. So we've got Venus in Taurus, very happy, and she's been doing some beautiful things already. And she's trining Jupiter in Capricorn. So, you know, there is that sense with this of Jupiter and Capricorn being in his fall, there's this cautious confidence that I keep saying is with this one. It's like all the things that we thought we could grow. It's like, well, let's just do a few of those things and then see where we get to. Whereas Venus in Taurus, she's adding this lushness, this plumpness, this energy to what he's done. So it's like what he's already sown, suddenly things really start to grow up. It makes me think here, when we had the droughts late last year, the rainforest here was really dry and really crunchy, and it just didn't look very happy. It was like this very empty kind of ground. And then as soon as we got the rains, and it hasn't stopped raining, the frogs started, the crickets started, the birds started, the trees were flush with flowers and greenery. And it's just this energy of like, okay, let's round things out, let's grow things up. So having these two very fertile benefics, both very moist, making this lovely trine connection in the sky, I feel like it just adds this extremely fertile opportunity to grow things. And if you do have Jupiter in Capricorn plans, if you have been using it in some way, this is a chance to really, water them, grow them, fertilize them even, use some of that connection and that sweetness and that lushness that Venus in Taurus can bring to grow a rainforest. The thing I always think about rainforests is they're so complex. There's a lot that they can offer. And I feel like there's a lot of complexity with this too. But yeah, it's quite, I just keep the richness of the earth, the smell of humus in the ground. It just, that's what this feels like. So I'll stop nattering. Anyone else got thoughts?
Kelly?
Of course I have thoughts, but I know you will too, Cass, because this is your Venus. We're both honouring Venus here with our flowers.
With my drooping roses, they've dropped a little bit. But anyway, what I like about this particular aspect is that it can really bring some growth to real practical plans as well. Jupiter in Capricorn, not at his best condition. So, as you said, it's like that drop wherever there's a bit of dryness or that opportunity or for want of a better term, abundance of the promise of Jupiter is a little bit limited or a little bit restricted in Capricorn. But Venus is coming along and, adding her, milk and eggs to the batter, so to speak. And so she's kind of helping to, coagulate things and to bring her moisture and her growth and her influence to help sort of lift Jupiter up. And so across Earth signs, this could really also pave the way for, another aspect that's kind of happening later in the month and in early April. But, this can really help sort of help us see maybe an opportunity that isn't quite there yet. Venus can help us, connect with the right person or connect with the right situation or connect with the right mentor to help us sort of see something that may not be quite clear or not quite available yet. I'm quite looking forward to this aspect. It's one of the better ones, I think, for the entire of 2020. So having the two great planets in the sky forming under the best form of aspect, despite Jupiter's, condition in Capricorn not being the best, I don't think this is going to be enough to really dampen the party too much, I hope. But across those, the earth signs, it is about those practical plans or things to do with resources or money or things like that. Might get a little bit of a boost or might get a little bit of a deal might be sweetened in some respects. So, yeah. How about you, Kel?
Oh, love it. I'm so many juicy good things about this aspect. I guess, I'm seeing the Venus trine Jupiter. They're both in earth signs, which, the planets are moist, but the signs have a little bit of a dry quality. And I think I usually interpret that as being clarifying and stabilizing. So sort of getting a sense of how you want to bring the pieces together. It's easier to bring pieces or people or projects together. There's a real connectivity or collaborative quality. I loved the piece you mentioned, Cass, about mentoring or teaching or, training type of thing that, it may be just as good for, learning from somebody that's got some wisdom or experience that you can benefit from. The aspect I realized, I'm not sure if we said this, it's 23 degrees Taurus to 23 degrees Capricorn, and it's Saturday, March 28th. So this is a really yummy weekend. The moon will also be in Taurus for for part of that weekend. So there is sort of an enjoy the good in life. So particularly, I think relationships, interactions with other people will benefit. This aspect it's a good aspect technically on paper, but it is much better for Venus in terms of Venus is in a really good place and receiving whatever help Jupiter can offer. I think it will help with long-term planning. So putting some of those pieces together around partnerships or relationships. But I know that, when I've tried to chat to other astrologers about, are we going to do this thing on that weekend? Everybody's like, no, we've already got stuff scheduled then because it's such a positive weekend. So definitely enjoy those Venus-Jupiter blessings because I agree with you, Cass. I think it's probably one of the best aspects we have all of 2020. So take the time to enjoy the good things, to focus on the special people, to show gratitude, to give what you can because we just want to get that positive experience and energy. You want to get that in the bank while you can, basically.
Totally.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's a beautiful aspect to end this episode and the month on, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So have you girls got anything going on this fortnight? What's happening in your worlds?
Cass?
Me? Well, I'm still in the middle of teaching my contemporary astrology program for beginners. So going through building astrology from the ground up. And I think that's probably about it. I've got so many things I want to do, but I'm also aware of my practical limits. So, stay tuned. And I mean, I've got a brand new website up. So finally it happened. Not under the beautiful elections I had planned for later in the month. Thank you, Mercury retrograde, but it had to happen. So go check it out. You can always join my newsletter and sign up, get your free download, and then stay abreast of what's happening in my world. So, yeah. How about
exciting.
You, Kel?
Yeah, I've got my next webinar for Astrology University is coming up on Saturday, April 4th. I'm going to be doing a deep dive looking at the 8th and 12th houses in astrology.
Ooh.
So they're the houses that I find students, even students that have been studying for a long time, still grappling to understand and interpret. So I'm going to spend, a detailed hour and a half just breaking down why the 8th and 12th houses mean what they do, how to use them in practice, what to say about planets in the 8th and 12th houses. But I'm also going to show some examples of the 8th and 12th houses in action in terms of planets that are there or connected to the 8th and 12th house. So it's a topic that I've been wanting to do a bit more of a focused exploration of for a while. So I'm thrilled to offer that. So if that's of interest to you, you'll be able to sign up via my website, kellysastrology.com, or the Astrology University website. And the other event that I want to give a shout out, which I think I can say might be, and that might be a segue for you, Leash, is that the 21st of March is known as International Astrology Day. It's sort of early in that Aries season, and I will be presenting as part of a free online seminar day for Kepler College. So you can go to their website, Kepler College, to look for information about their celebrations for International Astrology Day on March 21st. And that's it from me for this next couple of weeks. Leash, what have you got coming up?
Quite a bit.
Yes,
thanks for
busy
that
girl.
shout out about International Astrology Day.
So a fan.
Yeah, well, I'm actually not going to be part of it for that long because but
The time.
AFANS is happening. There are some really great speakers that are going to be part of that. So hop on over to afan.org to check out that and go along to the free event. And I think it's going to be a marathon event. So it's going for 8 hours. So there's plenty of opportunity to drop in, drop out, see different things that are happening. Personally, on the 21st of March, I'm holding in person here in the Sunshine Coast, a Aries New Moon manifesting workshop. So we will be doing the vision boarding. We'll be doing some different things. I'll be doing an energy clearing exercise called electrobics and just generally talking about the opportunities under this new moon. So hop onto my website to book into that. And then for those that are online, I'll be holding my normal new moon group, but for Aries, with a special twist. That'll be on the 23rd of, 23rd of March. 24th? I don't know. Check my website. I'm trying to think dates, Australia,
And time zones.
the US.
Are you doing it on the 24th in Australia?
Yes.
Okay, so
the
23rd in the US.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Oh, it might not be though because I think I'm doing it in the evening. So it'll be,
okay.
Anyway, so just check my website to have a look
All
for
the
exactly
details
when that's
will
going to be
clarified.
happening. Yeah. And finally, I am writing doing a bit of a Saturn in Aquarius ebook for my website subscribers. So if you're not subscribed to my website, hop on and do that. And there will be an ebook coming out for, how to work with this, what the possibilities are, and, which houses it will fall in, what you can really be anchoring and strengthening with its energy. So that's it from me. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, girls.
Excellent.
It's always good to chat.
Yeah. Love to hear from everyone in the comments below about how you go with all the planets changing signs this week and if there's any Saturn and Aquarius stuff that comes up for you, or if you have really yummy Venus-Jupiter stuff that you want to share. We'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, or even your new moon intentions. Tell us what you're going to be bringing in under this Aries new moon too. So we always love to hear from you. Thanks.
Just tell us all the things.
Oh, yeah. we love all the comments.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
See you later.